This time I got a late model Sony Betamax. This is a SL330 and it's got a tape stuck in it and it won't do anything. It just shuts down, locks up, and that's about it. So this one here, it's not a hi-fi machine. This is a monaural machine only, but it was one of their late model units, one of the last ones that Sony made. And this one plays back all the Betamax formats. This time I have a Sony SL330 Betamax. This one here has a problem. There's a tape in it. It won't do anything. It won't play. It won't fast forward. It won't stop. And it won't eject. There is a tape in this machine. Let's open it up and see what's wrong. As you can see, there's a tape that's threaded. This is a plungerless design. I believe this one was the 711B3 chassis. This was the last of the Beta design, and it uses a loading motor here that does everything. It controls everything. So it's usually what happens on this is this motor sticks, and you see, well, look, it's trying to move the tape. The head drum's not turning. The tape is turning, but it's not doing anything. By plungerless design, I mean it does not use a solenoid like other models did. Try to eject it. Try to eject. You can hear the motors coming on, but it's not doing anything. Unless I do this. So now it works. But it will jam again. Guaranteed. It's going to jam again. And I might only have to operate the mechanism a few times and it's going to do it. So let's see what happens. Go into play. Stop. Play. It will do it. There we go. Okay, it's done it again. Now it's stuck. And if I give it a bit of a turn, it will move. There. Now it's stuck again, and if I just give it a bit of a turn, it will move. So the motor is sticking. It's either going to be a flat spot in the motor, or it's actually physically jamming. That's what we don't know. Is it the motor that's causing it, or is it the mechanism itself jamming? It could be either. It could be a bad motor. Neat thing about this is the motor is the same as this one, so I can swap motors, and that way it will tell me if it's the motor. So let's do that. Let's swap the loading motor with the threading motor, because they're both the same. To do that, I will remove the front panel, because I have to remove the front loading mechanism to get at the motor to change it. I think the motors are the same. I'm pretty sure they're the same on this one, because Sony was standardizing and they were using common parts throughout their design. Actually, they're not the same. I'm pretty sure that it is the same motor. It's going to pop the front panel off. Turn it on its side to do that. I might even have to take a screw out from the bottom, or a screw or two from the bottom, which I do. I have to take out 2 screws from here. This is a basic machine. It is not a hi-fi machine. It's just a mono Super Beta machine. And this was, let's say, getting close to the end of the run for home Beta. But these machines still actually command quite a good price on the used market for people that are collecting Beta and they're looking for a Beta machine. Not as good as, say, an SL330, which is a hi-fi machine, but they still do command a few dollars for people with Beta tapes that they want to archive. So I can lift out the whole entire front loader right there. We'll just set this aside for now. I'll remove the loading gear assembly. There's a couple of screws that hold this motor in place. It's got a mode switch on this one too. Could be the mode switch. Could be the mode switch that's gone bad. Gotten dirty. That's always a possibility. We can try cleaning that first, actually. Because a mode switch certainly could cause this type of a fault. So it sits right in here. It sits over top of that locating pin. And there is a pin that goes into here. I don't know if this comes apart easily like the VHS ones. I have a feeling it doesn't. So we're going to spray some contact cleaner. We'll just get some contact cleaner into here and just run this thing around multiple times, and then I'll put the basket back in and we'll test it and see whether that solves the problem with it jamming, because I can make it jam pretty consistently. If that doesn't do it, then we'll try swapping the motors around. So I want to try to get the cleaner into the switch itself, and again this switch doesn't come apart. I don't think it comes apart. Pretty sure it doesn't come apart because they've mushroomed over the circuit board here. But if I get the cleaner in here, I might be able to get enough to go inside the switch and get onto the surface of the switch. Down through here where the contacts are. Maybe a better place to go. We'll just spin the switch around to clean the contacts. That should probably be enough to polish these up. Put the unit back, mode switch back in. It was around here somewhere. I gotta. The mode switch down, and I'll put on the loading motor. Now we do have to time this, because when I pull the gear apart, we got to pull this down like this. This is the unloaded position. What it does, if you notice here, there's a little bar, and that is what tells the system control that the tape is in the fully unloaded position. So when the main threading gear and the sub-threading gear are in the unloaded position, that little bar rises, which places this little metal bar in front of the tape end sensor, which is what is used to detect when it's time to eject the tape. So we have to pull this and hold it in place while we put the threading motor back into position. So I'll hold it in position like this, and then we'll drop the threading motor in. Gotta get the wires out of the way here. Got to pull this in and just pull it back a little harder so that it will drop in place like that. Once it's locked into place, then I can put the two screws back in to hold the rest of the threading motor in place. I'm not in position. I slipped back because the little arm is not up, so I have to pull this out again. I hate working with neutral, getting on your fingers, it's like oil. Okay, now it's in place. Alright, now I'll try it and see if it eats my tape. Power on. Alright, now I'll try the different modes. Play. Stop. Play. I'll just go through the modes several times here, because this is where it acted up before, right? I'm going into different modes. So it could very well have been just the mode switch. Play. Forward scan. Reverse scan. Oh, good. I think it was the mode switch. I do believe this is fixed. Oh, hold on. No, wait a second. It's not, because it just did it again. It might be the motor. Now going from fast forward to stop.
Notice it has a conventional linear power supply. Sony learned their lesson on the 2500 and 2700 with their switching power supply and went back to a linear one
It's doing
for
it
this
again.
one.
I think it might be a flat spot on that motor, is what it might be.
because see, the amount that I'm turning it is not enough to make a difference. It's not enough to if we look at how little I actually have to turn this thing, I'll just zoom the camera in here. It's in a jammed position right now, but if I just so much as nudge the motor like that far, okay, just have to nudge it just like that, and it works. I think I think the motor's got a flat spot. So let's see if these motors are interchangeable. They look like they might be, although the where the wires attach on the back is different, because these two are side by side, and the other one, this one here, they're on either side of the motor. So I think they're the same, but they might not be. But it's worth a try. It's worth a try. So let's just pull the cassette housing again, and I'll do a little motor swap here. When I saw the mode switch, I was excited, thinking, okay, we got a mode switch problem, but now looking at it after cleaning that switch, having the same problem, looking more and more like it's not the mode switch. So we'll pop the loading motor out a second time.
Notice this one has a completely different front loader, and this one did not have gears that broke like the prior generation did.
Now watch, when I pull this out, you'll see that this will jump. See? It goes out of alignment, so you gotta push that back. Motor is held in place here with a couple screws. As you can see, where the wires are attached here. This one's got a red dot on the red wire. That wire's got a red stripe, yeah. So the other one, the motor's over here, and it's got a marking. I think it's got a positive on it, plus and minus. Which one's which? Just see what it says here, because I don't want to get them backwards, right? Don't want to get the motors backwards. That would be a problem. Also, this thing here is not engaged. Interesting, there's a clutch on here. See, that'll just spin as it turns. That just turns forever. It doesn't engage when the mechanism's together. It certainly does. Interesting. Oh, this one's got a planetary gear set, because other cams and stuff down here lock into position. So depending on the cam gear below, when it locks into position, it will either turn one gear, or when it's into loading mode, it will let both of them turn. This is a planetary gear set here. So inside here, there'll be two little planet gears that spin around just like in the other ones. Interesting design. I should pop this motor out and just give it, maybe I'll pop out this motor and see if I can find a stall, find a dead spot on it. Just disconnect these wires for now, so I can power this up outside of the unit itself. And I'm just going to give it low voltage and just see whether there's a dead spot on the motor where it will stall. So I'm giving the motor about 0.7 of a volt. I'm just looking to see if I can find a spot where I can make the motor stall. Because it could be something else that's stalling it out. So there we go. I was able to stall it. It's still got power applied to it, but it's not turning. Even if I give the voltage a little bit higher, I'm now at 2 volts, 3 volts, 4 volts. Okay, it is dead to the world unless I give it a nudge, and then it goes. So the motor's got a dead spot. That's what is problem with this one here. So let's just see whether the other motor will actually swap out for this one. And I'm just looking at what way it turns here. With the positive on the red dot, it is turning counterclockwise, looking from the front of it. It's turning to the left, counterclockwise, with the red dot. I'll undo the motor. What I'm curious is whether this little drive is the same as well on both of them. Let's take a look at the other one. Well, this other one, for the record, the red wire is going to the negative terminal. And the white wire is going to the positive terminal. We'll just undo the motor. Yeah, this one's a little bit bigger, so it's not going to fit. Well, it was worth a try, so I guess we'll have to try to fix this motor or just live with it jamming. Alright, let's take a look at this other motor and see if there's... I don't think I could even get into this thing to work on it, so maybe spin this thing up at a high speed and just see if I can polish up the contacts. I don't know, probably about the only thing I can do on this one. So that's 0.6 volts I'm giving it right now. And as you can see, it's rotating, but I can probably find that dead spot right there. Now it's stopped. So we'll give it a bit more juice. We'll crank this up and just 25 volts. See if we can polish up the contacts a bit. Now there it is, just one little dead spot right there. Every time it gets to that one spot, see, I'll put a mark on here with my felt pen, and it'll always be in the same place where it dies, right there. Right there, you see. So mark it with the felt pen, and it's always going to be the same place that it dies. Right there. Yep. Got a bad brush or something in here, or a bad commutator down in the end here, no doubt. I don't know if I can get any cleaner in there, whether that's going to help. Maybe if we shoot some contact cleaner in there, it might help clear that up a bit, but it's probably burned. And there's not a heck of a lot I can do other than find another motor. A motor like this probably wouldn't be that difficult to find. It's just a cheap DC motor, but it's obviously the size is what's important, the diameter of it. Because if it's too big, it's not going to fit. We'll just crank this thing up again and let this thing run for a bit. See if we can polish up the contacts. I'll let it run. I'm going to let it run I'm going to let it run on like 12 volts And I'm just going to let this thing run for a few minutes, see whether it'll polish up the contacts, and then we'll try it out. So I had it spinning really fast there for several minutes. I've got it back down at 0.4 volts. Let's see if it will stop at the point where it was stopping before where I marked it. Okay, it does still stick there. But I give it 1 volt. We'll see whether it will stick there. Doesn't want to stop there now. I stop it there, but it starts up again. Well, let's just reinstall this thing and see whether it works. Only way to tell is to put it back in and put it back into service and see whether it will whether it faults again or whether it works. It's the only way to tell, right? So let's just do that. Let's put the gear back in and reattach the wires. The red one going to the one with the red, or red wire going to the one with the red dot on this one. Nope, not quite in again. My wires are caught. Alright, let's just put it through the paces again to see if it's going to work. Whether it's going to break again like before. So play. Here's play. Fast forward. Rewind. It was always breaking before, going from fast forward to stop and back. Play. Forward. Reverse. Back to forward. Stop. Rewind. Stop. Fast forward. Stop. Fast forward. Stop. I think it's working. Fast forward. Stop. Put a rewind. Stop. Put a play. Okay, I think we got it. I'm going to put the front face on this and then we'll hook it up to the TV and make sure it's playing. So the front panel just snaps on all these machines. Just line it up and that. Gotta make sure that my little switches are lining up on the front, which they are. Okay, let me just hook this up to the TV. We'll see what's on this old beta tape. This tape's actually in the process of failing. Watch the tape. You're going to see a bunch of tape go by here with oxide that's missing. I was watching it over here now. You'll see, okay, here goes some oxide that's fallen off the tape. This tape is deteriorating. It's not wrinkled or anything, just the oxide that's fallen right off. You'll see it right here. See the oxide that's just fallen off the tape? That was a phenomenon that the binder is failing. And this happened on these tapes. Some of these old, this is an old SL330. So it's one of the thin tapes, really thin tapes. Looks like we've got On the Buses playing on here from God knows when this was recorded. But it was a long time ago for sure. Lots of dropouts on this tape, as you can see. Tons and tons of dropouts. But we're going to test this and just put it through its paces a few more times here. And then I'll put a tape in that's better. And we'll have a tape play that's in better shape than this. Let's try a different tape. Let's try Beta 1 tape. I've still got one of these tapes. I opened this one fresh. This was a brand new tape when I recorded this. And I recorded on my SL330 in Beta 1. This machine should play Beta 1S. I think it'll play Beta 1S. It's modern enough to do it, so let's see whether it does. Or does it not even play Beta? There we go, Beta 1. There we go. it does. It plays Beta 1S. Excellent. Obviously I can't let this play because the music on here is copyright, but I've got to kill the music. But the visuals I can show momentarily. That's great. That's excellent. Beta 1S. Wonderful. There it is. Beta 1. And as you can see, that tape's moving along at a pretty good rate. I always liked Beta 1. Just the picture quality off it was so good, so damn good, you know. It just smoked VHS. Even without going into, well, the super high band was even better. This, I don't think this might have been recorded in SHB, but I think this one has SHB playback. Because I'm pretty sure this was recorded in SHB. I've got it marked down as SHB, super high band. So I think it was in SHB. And the machine has to have SHB playback or it won't play it at all. If I turn off the super beta switch, it still looks good. Not quite as sharp. But this has got a super sharp picture. Anyway, I'm going to let this thing just play here for a while, make sure everything's okay. I think that we got the problem solved. That little loading motor there had a flat spot, and what I did is I put some lubricant in there, put some Neutral into the motor itself, just to polish up the contacts, and I just cranked the crap out of it. I ran it at like 30 volts, but I had the current limited down to like 0.2 amps, 0.02 amps. So even with the voltage turned up all the way, it was only drawing around 20 volts because the current was limited. And just let that motor scream for about 15 minutes to polish up the contacts. And now it's working. So I'm gonna say this one is resolved. I'll do some more testing. I'll go to the different modes some more here. But like it would do it going between fast forward and stop. After 2 or 3 times it would do it. Back to play. Alright, we're good. Okay, I'm gonna let this thing test, but I think we've got this one solved. So now I got another beta machine. This is mine. This was given to me, this one. So now I got another beta machine that I can use for archiving tapes. I usually use these machines, like this one here, I'll use for archiving customers' tapes if they've got stuff that's not in hi-fi. Keep my hi-fi machines for stuff that's in hi-fi, but a lot of times when people bring me their beta tapes to archive, it was stuff that was shot on a beta movie, or it was shot on like an SL330 or an SL330 Portapack, and it's home videos. People are not archiving stuff they recorded off TV. They're recording home videos, and most of them were taken right out of the camera, so they're not in hi-fi, they're just in mono. So good deck for doing that because it plays everything back, including Beta 1. Anyway, thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye.